Hi, this is Karina from AdWords Nerds. I wanted to do this video to go over some standard best practices as well as certain things that we look at when we look at landing pages. So things that we test as well as things that we see from clients that are coming in to work with us. Things that work, things that don't work, I'm going to try and go over as much as I can on this video for you. So when it comes to any of my clients in general, this doesn't have to be REI, but when I talk about a website in whole to any client, there are two things. First thing is, what is it that you would like a visitor to do? And what is it that the visitor would like to do when they first come to your website? What is the most important thing? And when it comes to REI, the most important thing is to generate a lead, to get somebody to fill out the form on your website. So this is the most important thing. When it comes to somebody that's visiting the site, this is also the most important thing. Next to how is it that we contact you to buy our house? So in most cases, the form is the best way of contact. Next would be your phone number. So a clickable phone number on your website is best. So what we do right now is we have our number right above the form with the verbiage right above it. So we also like to kind of sprinkle it throughout the website. So even on the footer, we have it. You can put it up top on a bar over here, maybe a contact bar up top, maybe a phone number instead of a get my cash offer button that clicks to call to phone. So besides the phone number, like I said, I believe the form is the most important thing. And this is the first thing that I look at when I get a new client for me to set up. So first things first, a form versus a button. I understand that forms are not as pretty on your website. Sometimes, depending on how many fields you have, it looks a little cluttered. But from all the testing that we've done, forms perform so much better than buttons. You have to think about it as far as clicking. The less clicks for somebody to be able to accomplish something, the better. So the button hasn't been as effective as a form because what it is that you click on the button to get to a form and you see the form and it's already, okay, now I have to fill out the form, type in all the fields, and press a button again. The less work that you give a visitor, the better, and the more chances that they will actually fill out your form. So a few things. Form is better than button, less clicks, as short of a form as possible. So when it comes to you in mind, what is it that you absolutely need in order to contact a potential lead? The least amount of fields as possible. In this case, we have the street address, the email, and the phone number, because you can always email and you can always call and you know the address of the property. Some clients prefer also having a name, and that's fine as well. But the less information that you ask for, the higher the chances are that you are going to get a conversion, get somebody fill out this form. Note too that this is not the only thing that you're going to have, because what this form does is this form goes and leads to a step 2 page, which is another important thing. It's nice to lead to a thank you, great. But when you lead to a step 2, it has a step 2 form that is so much longer than this. This is honestly a great way to weed out the people that are not as interested. Maybe they're not really ready yet, as opposed to the people that are ready, because those people will fill out that information. Try not to make so many things required. Obviously, if you have a billion fields, but it is nice to know, because when they fill out these extra bits of information, it helps you as well. So you learn a little bit more. So anything from like, is your property listed with a realtor? Are you looking to sell fast? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? Things like that. it's best to leave it to a step 2 form. But yes, and in any aspect, especially after you fill out that step 2 form and you send to a thank you page, make sure that you put another option for them to contact you right away if they don't want to wait. So again, phone number. Make sure your text is there with a phone number so that if at any point in time when they're filling out a form, step 2, thank you, they decide that, oh, okay, I'd rather call them. They have that option right there. So that's just a few things with the form. Let's see. One thing that we've added besides the phone number up on top of the form, just in case they kind of chicken out and would rather call you instead, is accreditation. It should be at the top somewhere, especially near the form. Especially if you're BBB, anything like this, if it's near the form, they feel a little bit more at ease. That, okay, this is a reputable company. So work on the Facebook 5 stars, Google 5 stars, get BBB accredited, because it makes people feel a little bit better about putting their information in. Let's see. When it comes to button colors, try to be weary about the colors if possible. Think about it mentally, as far as red means stop, green means go, but green also means money. Blue is calming. But what we've tested in the end is that oranges and blues are the best converting colors. Oranges pop, but they're not too invasive. It's not a red that's telling you to stop. I'm not saying that red buttons don't convert. I'm sure they do. It really depends on the context that it's around. You want to make sure that the visitor feels comfortable. In this case, with all the colors around, the orange is good. Blues here, like when I roll over, it is a blue, and blue could work here too. However, I feel like it doesn't stand out as much. But yeah, try to think about your button colors. Another thing to think about is the verbiage on your button. What I've learned is that when you are a little bit more personal, things convert better. So instead of a submit or send, something like get my offer. Now, one other thing is, instead of get your offer or get an offer, get the offer, to be more personable and to make it seem like this is them in control, get my offer. Yes, I want to get my offer. You get what I'm saying? There's little things in verbiage that continue to make people feel like they can trust you and that they are in control. Not get the offer, get your offer, get my offer. I'm in control here. There are some things too when it comes to the button that are really good to take into account. Now, when it comes to colors, yes, that's good. But the button also does need to stand out, and which is why we picked the orange, because orange does stand out. If you have a dark background with a dark button, like, it's not really going to stand out. If you have a light color background, like in this case, and say you have like a light blue or a white button, things like that will not stand out. Make sure it's a color, and you can even go bigger. We could make this button bigger. What would honestly be better for me to change on this page, if I were to change anything, would be to either make this button bigger or make this button smaller, because if you can see, they're both the same color. So that might not be great, but to be honest, my get my cash offer button leads to my form anyway, so they both do the same thing. As many options as you can to get them to be able to fill out the form as easy as possible. The reason for this too is that as I scroll down, we have multiple options as far as, like, look, we have the form right here again. as I scroll down, I still have that option that if any time as I'm scrolling down, I'm like, yes, I'm ready, right here, I have the form. If at any time, especially if I'm in mobile or anything like that, a smaller screen, and I don't have this form yet, I have no place here to click to convert, but I do have my button. So at any point, if the text is so much on this page that I'm scrolling, and if somebody wants to click and convert and there's no button to click on, there's no form while they're scrolling, they might be like, you have to understand, some people are a little lazy. So we have to help them a little bit. So if this button is visible at all times, they are able to fill out the form at all times. One other thing is that as you go down the page, like I said, if the page is long, try to include some call to action buttons, CTA buttons, on the bottom of each section. In this case, this page is not that long, so we don't really have, like I said, I kind of supplemented that with having this button up here at all times. I have the form. When we reach the bottom of the page, we have to give them an option to fill out the form as well. If you think about this in a storybook method, this is like the beginning of your story. This is when people first go to your site, and if they know what they want and they already want to get it, they will fill out the form right away. But in my case, I'm hoping that that's what they do. And honestly, that is what they do most of the time. So what we do is that we have to build the content below it to tell our story, to convince them that, okay, we are what you need. We can solve this problem for you. So if we do not nab them up here, we have to continue on. So with the accreditation right there, followed by something like, it could be a how it works section, maybe like a 3-step thing. And it explains what it is that you guys do. So at the top, some kind of an effective headline with a short text explaining what you do right at the top, giving them an option to call, giving them the form, and showing accreditation right away. I'm not talking about testimonials. You could, but if you really think about it, we haven't even gone over what it is that we really do. This is just straight to the point, no nonsense. People want to fill out that form, fill it out. Now, the people that will scroll down are not convinced yet. So we go and we follow it with like a how it works section. You have to explain what it is that you guys do and how you do it, and make it simple. Like I said, maybe some kind of a 3-step explanation with visuals, so it's not just so much text and it's not boring. This is a great place for explainer videos. Maybe, those little illustrations that show the ease and what it is that you guys actually do, how the process works. Now, as you go down, then of course, you start explaining a little bit more. What is it that you can provide for them? Who are you? Then, of course, eventually, you're going to have your testimonials. Depending on how long the page is, include the CTA buttons on the bottom of each section, if at all possible, to bring them back to the form, or even a short form, if the section is so far away from the initial form. And then sprinkle some testimonials here. If you have them, sprinkle them in throughout. They are great. Video testimonials are better because visuals help people. So if you don't have video testimonials, it'd be great if you had a picture of the person that was giving the testimonial, anything like that. And then at the very bottom of the page, now that you have told them everything that you can provide for them, everything that you do, at the very bottom, you close it out with another form. This is a bottom CTA because this means that if you did your job in telling your story properly, at the bottom of the page, this is your closer. So get started on your cash offer. Contact you within 24 hours, blah, 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 fill it out. So if a lot of long designs that I've noticed, actually convert better with the last one. But imagine if you did not have that form there. You would have lost them. The majority of them are not going to want to click back up to go and fill out your form. Lazy. You have to think about that. So close it out with a form. I don't suggest closing it out with a button. Again, lazy. Form is better. They are more likely to fill it out on a longer landing page. So now that I've gone over all these things that I usually check out for, I wanted to go over things that don't work. Well, actually, not before things that don't work. I'm going to show you a work of this initial design that I was like, oh gosh, it converts so well. What can I do to help it? So I made it longer. So we have the same design. As we scroll down, same content. However, it did take some stuff out, you see. Doesn't matter situation, what we'll do for you, it gets better. Doesn't matter, gets better. Still, I have the accreditation. But what I did was I moved that what we'll do for you down here, added the how it works section. This might have converted better if I put this how it works section up here before all this. Because like I said, if you can outline what it is and in simple terms and show, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, they're like, okay, I get it. I was also trying to see if maybe including a short little bio with a personal picture about the person that they're looking to sell their house to. Now, in this case, when it comes to pictures, okay, we're going to be real. Have a friendly picture. If you are a family person, it'd be great if you had, say it's husband, wife, kids, and this is a family business, picture of the family, great. Professional is better, but not too professional where you're like in suits and a white background. That's great, but we need to be a little bit friendlier. That's why I mentioned certain things like family pictures. Maybe you have a staff. Maybe it's a whole team of you guys. This would be great if it's a team picture. But in this case, this would be about the one person. And like a quick short bio could be a little bit funny. Nothing crazy, but something that shows them that you're a real person. Are you a veteran? Do you help the community? What is it about you that they would like? And again, more accreditation. As we scroll down, I have, in this case, I have this phone number right here. Click to call. Now I have testimonials because, hey, of course, if you have them, sprinkle them throughout. And we end our story with another call to action with the headline, get started on your cash offer. This is the closeout. This still did not perform as well as the other one. I felt like maybe simple is better. People want to get to the point. But if I were to add anything to this, it would be something like this. Now that we're seeing certain things that work, we'll talk about things that don't work. So in this case, this is the first one. This, if you look, this is the same as this. It's just instead of the form, we are using buttons. And if you look, it's still the same content. It's the same thing. But this performed horribly. A few things. We have buttons. We have the click to go and fill out the form, to click again. People don't like to do that. I don't know what it is. This looks so much prettier, but it does not convert better. Forms on the page are better. Short forms are best. Do not put a long form at the top of your site. You are not going to get that many converters. Oh, one other thing. When I'm talking about forms, please, if at all possible, do not add the reCAPTCHA on there. Please do not put a checkbox saying click here for your consent to send you an offer. I don't know. Again, the least amount of fields is better. When you start doing a reCAPTCHA, people don't like it because it's an extra click that they have to do. Maybe it's the testing one. If it's the testing one, nobody's going to fill out that form. I highly doubt they will be so frustrated by the time that they want to hit submit. When it comes to the checkbox, I say, please, please, please don't do it, because this is you trying to protect yourself, but it is you coming off as sketchy. Now I don't know if I trust you to have my information. So please, if at all possible, do not do those things. Okay, now when it comes to this page, one thing that I've noticed is that I have 2 buttons. Maybe it would have been better to have 1 button and the phone number below or above, but I have 2 buttons and they're both the same size and they're both the same color. The problem here, this will not work because there is no distinction between which button to press, which holds more weight. Second, with this, it took a button click to get to the form. To type and click again. Less is more. Do not do this. I've learned from this. Learn from my mistakes. Okay, one other thing that we have tested is, to be honest, I hate this house image. I hate it. I've tried so many instances to use more realistic houses, and this does not work. But that doesn't mean that you can't test it. So some clients, it does work better. So this is a nice one of those initial tests that if you have local images and you can split test using a stock image, in this case, this ugly thing that converts ridiculously well, or something of a house that you've bought. Just make sure that depending on how you lay out the text, it is easily readable, which is another important thing. If you can see, I put the text right on top of the image. This is a horrible thing to do, but because I darkened the background and I used white, big text, it stands out. Imagine if this background was not dark. You would not be able to read this text. Do not make that mistake, please. As simple as possible. I think the reason why this converts so well is because I have so much white space at the top. I make sure that whatever text I put up here is readable. So this works all the time. It's light, it's beautiful, it pops, it's readable. Okay, so we've confirmed this doesn't work. Another one that this converted, this did worse. This did slightly better, but not that great. So this was a load on. Let me just throw everything on here. I have a form up here. I have accreditation. I have how it works. I have all these things about foreclosure and rental homes and inheritance. I have testimonials. I have another form. Why would it perform horribly? A few things. When you first get here, where do your eyes go? Because what happened is that the form button is what's supposed to stick out. But in this case, it doesn't stick out as much because of the coordinating colors of everything around it. So when you first look at the site, make sure that your eyes always go to that button on the form. That is the thing that you want them to do. The bigger the form or bigger the button, the better. Not always, but big is better. In this case, the button is bigger than here. What sucks is they're both orange. Maybe if this one was blue, this one is orange. It sticks out better. But if you see, I have orange, blues. I have other orange things around, so it does not stand out. Make sure your button stands out. If you're using orange here, maybe making the icons a little more muted, like making them blues and whites instead of orange, blues and whites, it would have performed better. Honestly, it would have been wholly much better to take this whole how it works, these step things, completely out of the hero section, because it's just way too much on here. Way too much to look at. What am I doing? This would have performed better if I took this down here into the white section. Because again, when people are first coming to your site and they know what they want to fill out that form, but this is a mess right here. So you have to understand your visitors' needs and be simple and to the point. Sometimes long pages work, sometimes they don't. So if you want to tell your story, go ahead and tell your story. Don't take too long to tell your story, because in this case, this form actually performs better than this form, because what it was is that it took some convincing, and at the end I convinced them with everything, the testimonials, the how it works, the bio, the everything. But this page, this did convert well, not as well as the other one. I believe that this was too long. This has this like sweet spot. It has information, but not too much. And if you look at this, I frown upon this. Too much text is not good. People don't want to read it. So what you have to think about doing is breaking it up into smaller bits to make it easy to digest. So instead of one long paragraph, because this was one long paragraph, see the smart ways to divvy it up. Here's my headline. Here's a short, 1, 2, 3, 4 sentences. Short 4 sentences to go with this. I broke this up into 3 sections. These are all bullet points, but I kind of split them up into certain things. Doesn't matter your situation. Okay, these are situations. What we will do for you. Okay, these are things we do for you. Here it gets better. This is actually more what we will do for you, but it's just so much text. So what I was able to do, split it up into 3 columns, split them up into bullet form, short and to the point, accreditation, short and to the point. Here's the form, fill it out. So as you understand your visitors' needs and the things that you need as well, things like this, I hope help when you are thinking about how to lay out your page. But that's all for now. Have a good day, guys.